Hey TV fans, Bored now back with you on this video. I'm going to be talking about from Season 2, Episode 6. The episode is called Paz Don Ducks, and I'm going to say it straight away. I think this could be the best episode of the whole show so far. At least, definitely the best episode of this season, but I think it's probably up there, and it's such a well done episode where even some of the smaller plots that feel a bit soapy at times and don't feel that important, they do a very good job of working them into the main plot and the main focus and the stakes of that main plot. Because there's definitely a couple of moments in the episode where they started where I wasn't that interested. I was a little bit bored with some of the drama. So the best example is the stuff with Fatima and with Ellis, because I'm not into their relationship. But I don't care about Ellis. I find him quite a bland, annoying character. Fatima I like a bit more, but I'm not really into their relationship overall. So when they start having this drama and are arguing, I'm not into that. And it's a bit weird the way it comes about, because at first they don't make it clear why she's mad with him, because the last we knew they were fine and they were stable. They were getting ready for the wedding. Fatima, I don't think it's in this episode. It's something I missed in the last episode. But she did ask Julie to be a bridesmaid at the wedding. So that's a thing. But yeah, it turns out the reason she's mad with Ellis is because he didn't tell her about the whole Boyd and Sarah thing. About Sarah being back and Boyd knowing about it and protecting her. So that's the reason why she's mad with him, and that's revealed. So they're doing this thing where it turns out they're starting to ration the vegetables, because it looks as though if they don't ration them, they'll run out faster than possible, because there's a line later on about how the vegetables got washed away when you had the storm. So Fatima and Ellis go on this thing to deliver some vegetables to another house, and they're kind of working together, and it's just a way to bring out the tension, but it also leads to this conflict with, well, it's with the character of Dale, who we've seen at least one other time, and he's one of those. He tends to be the sort of character who puts his foot in his mouth a lot and is a bit of a big mouth. And as I said, because I wasn't into them having this forced sort of fight, then that was an issue. But then when I realised where it was going and what it led to, then I was suddenly more into it, because it served a purpose and it led to what was really exciting in the episode. So as I said, Dale is being a bit of an arse because he sees one of the newbies at one point take some vegetables, and because he's seen them go off with these vegetables, and he's cottoned on to this idea that they're rationing and they don't have a lot left. Because at one point Donna takes some vegetables over to Jimmy's family, and Jimmy's making the point about how this probably won't even last us a month. But Dale, being Dale, is getting really aggressive towards Elgin and threatening him, and that's when Ellis and Fatima steps in. One thing leads to another, and he stabs Ellis, and he stabs him quite firmly in the body, and it gets really serious. It looks like Ellis could potentially die. And this is when the episode really kicks into gear, because the stakes are raised, and this is the horror stuff coming in, which is some of the best stuff in the show, because it happens to be nighttime or getting towards dark at this point, around the time where the creatures come out. So that becomes a hurdle for them because they want to take Ellis to the hospital like as quickly as possible, the clinic, but they're worried about the things outside. And Fatima's like, no, we've got to move him now, otherwise he'll die, because the bus driver like gives her the signal, then no, he's not going to last through the night. So they decide to take a chance. And again, I quite like the way they use Elgin in this episode. He so far has been quite a useful, like, newer character, because he distracts them. He sort of becomes a decoy, and he gets in the van quickly, drives around. And this is where the direction of the episode starts ramping up, because they're driving Ellis in the van. His condition's getting worse. And it's just really well shot, the way it's cutting around the different characters in the van, and just the tension of, you've got the creatures on the outside sort of running beside it and threatening them, and at the same time Elgin is panicking a bit driving the van, Fatima's panicking a bit, but they're sort of doing it, and they get him there in time. And this is where the episode really comes into his own, because another thing when it comes to a little bit of a soapy subplot is there's issues with Christian and with Mary Lou, because she finds out then Mary Lou was actually going to a clinic, like she had a drug problem in the past, and she's now in readmission, so she was travelling to a clinic. So she's mad with her because she lied. She claimed she was going to see her aunt on the bus, and that's why actually when she because later on Mary Lou, however you say her name, it's a weird name, she admits to like taking the drugs from the stash there, and that's why that in the last episode doesn't really bother me, because it pays it off here. But she admits to that, and at first, well, for a while anyway, Christy is mad with her just because she lied. So that's another good example of a subplot being well used in the drama of, well, now we've got to treat Ellis, we've got to save his life, and time is of the essence. Boyd is also there, so that ramps up the tension as well, and the stakes. Because the thing with Mary Lou is Christy's not sure if she can trust her to be there, if she's in the right frame of mind, because at one point she's sick, and later on she explains that she's in readmission, but she's like, no, I'm fine, I want to help, and they have to work together. So that's again a good example of incorporating that plot into this bigger, more dramatic plot with all these stakes on. So they start working on trying to save Ellis, and the natural thing is, to save him, they need a blood transfer, and they ask Boyd. Boyd is obviously his father. He says he's O negative, the same as me, and naturally they jump to, well, Boyd, you've got to, give him your blood. We'll transfer the bloods. But the catch is, then Boyd says, I can't do that, and they're questioning why. And there's been some bits in this episode with him getting the worms again in his skin off and on, and he started to have visions, because another big part of the episode is then he starts hearing like a music box, and it's similar to what other characters have heard, and this ballerina appears to him, and it's another horror-centric moment, because the way the episode starts is he's in the diner, and he's been like explaining to Mrs. Lou and trying to bring her around and apologise for what he did with Sarah, and it then turns out he passes out, and then he has this vision of, or this nightmare of, the ballerina, and you get like tentacles coming from her mouth, and that sort of starts this. But because of what's been happening with him, and he tells them about having the things under his skin, he says, no, I can't do that, I don't want to risk my son's life, because I could infect him. And the rest of them are just saying, well, sorry, we don't have much of a choice. We've got to do this. And Fatima especially, she's saying, no, we'll worry about that when we come to it. We've got to take a chance if it'll save his life. And I tell you what, Kenny's really strong in this episode, because at times, in a way, he's played as the villain, because he actually points a gun at Boyd to try and force him to do it. It's like, what the fuck? And it's at some point, it's around this time where, for the first time, they actually see the worms in his body. It's like Mary is like the first one to notice it, and it freaks them out. But that's a big moment, because up to now, it's only been him who's seen it. But yeah, Kenny has the gun to him, and in the end he has like an alternative plan, and this is where the episode really goes places. But it's an exciting like alternative plan that Boyd comes up with, and I don't know exactly how the science of this would all pan out, but Boyd's idea is to go outside and draw the creatures in towards him, and he exposes the blood on his arm. And I do like, because again, this is Harold Pinio getting to do the very hyper swearing sort of thing, where it's like, come on, come and get me, and he's like, motherfuckers. And so he exposes his arm, and he says the line about my blood to your blood, or my blood is your blood now, motherfucker. And so he exposes the arm to the main creature who we've seen recently, and he like bites into it and like gets the blood. So then I did wonder what Boyd was planning to do, and I knew we wouldn't really lose Boyd because he's the main character. But what happens is, and this is what he was banking on, is the other creatures then go after the creature who now has had the blood transferred into him. Some of it, I'm assuming, because naturally if it was all... it's just a bit from the arm, so I guess that's fine. But yeah, they kill him. Boyd goes back inside. So they've transferred the blood from, I guess, where the worms were coming from. Again, I'm not quite sure if the science of this would add up, but from Boyd's point of view, where the affection seems to be, that he's transferred it to this other creature. So that means he's happy, then the blood is fine. And so they do the transfer, and it appears as though Ellis' life is saved. And it's all very well done. It's like when Christie's doing, like, stitching him up and all this, and she's plunging, like, the scissors into it, and he really seems like he could be on death's door. It's very well done. It's very gut-wrenching, and that's the thing. Even if some of the science isn't right, I kind of don't care, because it's just so well done, and there's so many stakes to it, and I just thought it was a very intriguing twist, the thing with Boyd having that idea to, like, move the blood from him to, like, the creature, and then they kill the creature, and then that's going to lead to something. So Ellis appears to be saved by the end of the episode, but I do wonder if there's still going to be a twist where he ends up dying, or at the very least he ends up infected like his father, because it's not 100% sure then he would be safe and that kind of thing. And Boyd starts telling them different things, like he tells them about what he's been seeing, what's been happening to him. He also, I think he tells Kenny about what happened and how he got the worms. So he says then this guy Martin passed them on to him. And this is... because at one point, it's earlier in the episode after he's collapsed and Kenny has taken him to Christie. And Boyd is telling Christie, I don't want to end up like Martin. Clear I can't make it. He's suggesting just put me out of my misery. And there's some nice little scenes, like there's quite a nice little scene with Christie and Kenny where like she reassures him, don't worry, Boyd is a long way off dementia there. Yeah. So you do get Boyd and Kenny like reconnecting a little bit just because he's concerned about him and he's helping out. The reason why I'm assuming that maybe Ellis might still die or might still have a problem here is because you get this reveal at the end of the episode that Fatima is like pregnant, and she tells Christy, because like, do you have any pregnancy kits? So that's a bit of a twist, and that makes me wonder if, I mean, definitely they're gonna do a thing where you can now, you have her give birth, and then I don't know, depending on how long this show runs, you could have some stuff with her kid, but it just made me wonder if maybe Ellis might die after all. A lot of twist TV shows go for a lot where, like, the father tragically dies, but then he leaves this son, and, well, son, daughter, whatever gender it turns out to be, but then you then get some stuff with the mother and the newly born episode. Like I said, I think it might be the best episode of the whole show so far. Certainly of this series, I would say, like the way it incorporated all the characters, and it really nicely paid off certain things like the Christy and Mary Lou stuff. So it's very good stuff. So that's from 6th episode of season 2. I'm getting towards the end of this season now. If you've been watching along or you've seen this episode, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Like and subscribe as always. Share me out on social media. Support the channel monetarily. You can do at patreon.com/boardnow for just $1 a month. Over the Christmas season, you will be getting some special commentaries for that $1, which you can only get on Patreon. And you also get early access to things, so like these From reviews will be going up a day early if you are a patron. But thanks for listening, guys. Keep watching TV. See you later.